Do not adjust your cameras, your TVs, your screens. This is not an error. This is, in fact, a reset. And we will see Worldbuilders being live. How can my sound be gone now? No, it's not. It's showing. It must be going. Is it still gone now? And it must be doing something, I'm hoping. Yeah, okay, I thought so. I mean, the good news is there's just the two people, as far as I can tell in chat. Only two people are watching, so, and they both work with me. Oh, wait, there's a bunch more people there. Eek. Well, we'll pretend like they aren't there. All right, we'll try this again. I am not B. Dave Walters. I have never been B. Dave Walters. I wish I could be nearly as cool as B. Dave Walters. It looks like there's going to be some technical difficulties that will keep him from being with us today as our guest, which we'll hope to. Hey, Jules, nice to see you. So I'm afraid you just get me for a while, but boy, do we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Yeah, we, among other things, you know, the advantage of having a distributed team, some of us in Stevens Point, some of us in Wapaka, some of us in Madison, that's just Wisconsin. And then, of course, we have Jamie out there in Seattle, otherwise known as the earthly presence of the sun. You know, the bad news is, the good news is that we have multiple people that can do streams. The bad news is that sometimes those multiple people have their own particular technical difficulties. And this would be one of those situations. It's also entirely possible, I'm pretty sure it's not any warmer down in there, down there in LA, which is where B. Dave is. So he may be having his own particular issues there. So we hopefully will have him back again. He has always been a great supporter of Worldbuilders, and we miss him very much. Nice mug. How do we get one? Why, funny you should ask, Lucerne. This is one of our new Lady Astronaut mugs. And you can get them at the fundraiser that you see right down there. Now, Lady Astronaut mugs, first of all, something you may not know about these, aside from the fact that they hold a lot of coffee, they're slightly bigger than your average mug. And you know, as we all know with caffeine, size matters. The artwork there is actually drawn by Mary Robinette. I didn't know that originally. We were trying to figure out how to credit the artwork, and we looked on her site and didn't find any artwork credited. And we're like, oh, well, it must have been something that they don't need to credit. Turns out that Mary Robinette did them herself. And there's three of them, of the three lady astronauts, Helen, Myrtle, and Elma, I think. I can't remember what the other one is. And it's a really cool deal because, so Mary Robinette has a Patreon, and originally you could only get them for a limited time. They would every year have a new mug come out. And the thing is that they ran out, and then new people would sign up and they wouldn't be able to get the old mugs. Well, this way you can go to her Patreon, get the single mug that completes the 4-part set, and then get the 3 other mugs from us at, hey, look what I did. Boy, watch this magical, magical transition here as I say, look at that. It's a URL that you can actually go to if you want to go and get some of this stuff. What mugs are we talking about? We're talking about the Lady Astronaut Club mugs. And they have a really fun, you know, they're just good solid mugs, first of all, but they also have a really fun story behind them because they are literally designed by Mary Robinette. And if you didn't get a chance to see Mary Robinette, we talked to her on Wednesday, I think it was. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I don't know. Time has no meaning during a fundraiser. But Mary Robinette talked with us about the whole Lady Astronaut situation and things like that. Yay, got the Harvest Moon coin. Yes, those things are amazing. Which I want to, actually, this is another good chance to do this. So there's the Harvest Moon coin package, okay? You think, not too big a deal. But I'll give you a little preview of what you get to do. First of all, on the back, it's sealed with wax, okay? Well, this means somebody sat there, and Zay can tell you that this is a very, very, very tedious process to have to stamp all of these things. So they took the care to do that. And then you open it up, and look, there's stuff there. You know, I put this background on, which by the way is from B. Dave's graphic novel, Electropunk. And now, of course, it's ruining my thing. Which shows all their socials for Shire Post. And by the way, they don't, I don't see their TikTok on here. They actually have a really cool TikTok where they show things as they go. Then you open up and you have Moon Facts and the Shire Post Mint logo, which is cool enough. Let's see if there's anything in here. The far side of the moon is known as the dark side of the moon, which is also where Pink Floyd lives. Yeah, age thing there, by the way, yeah. Another fact from the moon. From Earth, we only see one face of the moon due to a phenomenon known as, what is the phenomenon known as? Come on, chat. See if you know. Why is it that we see only one face of the moon? Cheese face. Yes, thank you for playing the Cyrenac. I would agree with you if you were right. No, tidal locking. Tidal lock. Yes, there you go. Well done. Wow. All right. Now, here's one. Actually, I did know this one. If I, on Earth, weigh 240 pounds, yeah, sure. If I on Earth weigh 240 pounds, and by the way, I'm making it easy for you all, how much would I weigh on the moon? Nope, come on. Do your math. You can get it. No idea? 30. Close. I appreciate it, but no, I will weigh 1/6 of what I weigh on Earth. So I would weigh 40 pounds. And the dark areas are massive basalt seas, and the light areas are highland mountains. Now that's just a little bit of entertainment from that side. And then you open it up and you're like, oh my God, so much extra stuff. They have things like a little coin info, including what kind of press was used in there. You talk about the moon coin. It is a very much selenographically correct 136,794,240 to 1 scale design of the surface texture of both its near and far side. And after you get done with all that, then you get to open up the little black envelope in the middle and pull out the actual coin. I mean, here's the thing. They could give Apple a run for their money in terms of really cool packaging. And you know, it's a matter of the time. I actually have an interview in the can that I did with Shire Post Mint. And we are going to be posting it to YouTube because they have a lot, there's great stories behind their coins. It's a small family business. It's people that just were like, hey, I like this kind of stuff. And they make stuff that is just amazing, and they make it using traditional tools and things like that as well. And we really appreciate their support. And Helen Maringer, who's the person we interviewed, is just a lot of fun, period. So yeah, we're gonna quick lose the subtitle for a moment while we refresh that. Look at that. The money is rising. Love it. Yeah, we have that one. And then we also have one with, what is it called? Larry Dixon and Mercedes Lackey. However, we are trying to sort of up our game here and make sure that we put things into, actual edited form with things like titles and stuff like that. So, fancy. So that's kind of where that comes from. The other side of things, as I mentioned, we have that over there. Now, there's also a really neat little extra thing we did, which you may have seen, a literary tarot deck. So I think it's called Brink was the name of the thing. You'll find if you got the last newsletter, and maybe maybe our erstwhile producer can find the link. But they're running a Kickstarter the same time we're running our fundraiser. And thank you. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name. Sorry. They are producing a special little tier that is just for world builders, and I especially love. Thank you very much. I know that I asked you how to pronounce your name, and I'm going to probably mess it up when I try again here. But thank you, Ionicus. The tier that they set up is called Foolish Together. And Pat, of course, came up with that one because, let's face it, we're both nonprofits. Not only that, we aren't nonprofits with, how do I put it? I'm not going to say easy problems, but direct problems. Like it's very, if you're a nonprofit and you're like, my job is to make sure that the people in my city all have food. Not necessarily an easy problem to solve, but it's an easy problem to identify. And it's easy for you to go up to somebody and say, hey, can you give us some money because we want to help people eat? And it's easy to identify that. We 100% support those kinds of charities. In fact, that's our reason. Hey, yay, Ionicus, hey, thank you. We and the Brink are using, we're kind of working on, I would say fuzzier problems, wicked problems. We're working on problems that are sort of coming at things from a side tangent. So we, for example, try and take the power of story, the power of a story that you love, a cartoon that you love, something that you're passionate about, and we say, hey, this is really cool, you want to do this anyway, now you can also get some money that you would spend on that, and some of that money is going to go and help solve these problems, like helping to feed people, helping to come up with clean water, helping to get masks and vaccinations and things like that, helping to get PPE for people that need it during the pandemic. All of those things are going on. And it's great. You guys have been so supportive. We are so grateful. $93,182 worth of support. And a lot of that was just people saying, you know what? I don't really need any more stuff. I just want to help support the cause. And we'll come back to that in a second because the digital goodie bag is kind of a cool thing. But in the meantime, it is just humbling to do that. And Brink also is working on literacy, working on trying to get people to read more. Now, the fact is, we are all reading more anyway. I mean, some of you are reading the subtitles right now. You tend to read comic books. Of course, we end up pulling up our phone and reading all those things. Like, oh, look at that. Worldbuilders is live. Let's explore queerness and kink. Wait, we're not doing that. Oh, yeah, we must be doing the other one. Okay. So, yes, you found the TikTok. Oh, yeah, there. Just in case you're wondering, at Worldbuilders, we have thought about we should have a TikTok too because we like it. I personally think it's amazing the amount of performative stuff that's on TikTok. The thing is, TikTok's a big time commitment. I mean, to do it well, I would say it's probably one of the harder things to do well in terms of social media. It's not like the good old days of Twitter when you just had to write a clever tweet. Right, Lacernic, when you can just write clever stuff. Speaking of which, I'm going to call him out. Lacernic is a talented copywriter, and he has been helping us out as a volunteer. And he will actually, as soon as this stream is done, we will be having a blog post by him going up on worldbuilders.org to talk about what his experience has been like working behind the scenes. And just because we're all about transparency and fairness here, I want you all to know that we are going to be not editing that thing much at all. We are just going to be letting him tell it as it is. So when he says, yeah, and Gray promised me a beer and he never delivered, you know that is the God's honest truth. And yes, I do in fact owe him a beer. Yes, TikTok is a lot of work. I mean, any kind of video is going to be that way. Yes, so many broken promises. Well, you know, all I can say is that, you know, if I am Lucy to your Charlie Brown, you do still keep running for the football. So, and, you know, what can I do? The Queer Kink stream, yeah, so I can share some really good news about that. So if you saw the video on demand of the Saturday night stream, which was about queerness and kink identities, we had Midori and we had Dana Pelabon. And Midori is a sexologist and a kink educator, and Dana Pelabon is a burlesque performer, educator, writer. She's the co-executive director of the Madison Rape Crisis Center, and she's also on the Worldbuilders board. So it was a great conversation between the two of them. Ah, yes, they're both huge Godzilla fans, which perhaps makes them even more qualified. But we were hoping at that time to have also Jeffe Kennedy, the author, I don't know if she's actually taken office yet, but at the time she was the president-elect of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. And she writes books that, including in the genre of paranormal romance, including things that have a lot of queer and kink themes in them. So she would have been a great addition to have at that conversation. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to do it because, again, technical difficulties galore. But the good news is we actually will have her. She has agreed to come on to Worldbuilders Weekly next week. So on July 6th, you will get to see Jeffe Kennedy right here on Worldbuilders Weekly. Not right here because it'll be noon. Tomorrow on Worldbuilders Weekly, we are continuing our celebration of Pride Month by talking with Gretchen from A Room of One's Own bookstore in Madison, Wisconsin. And they will be chatting with Zay about queer books that they can recommend. Their bookstore is fantastic. We're going to be having a book list that we will link to people to. And, you know, obviously we like to sell books too, but they sell books. We can't handle nearly as many books as they can handle. And so we definitely do that. Plus, this is a great time to support them because they're in the process of moving. Makes me a little bit sad because their previous place was at a location in Madison that was near and dear to my heart. It was the original place of the Canterbury bookstore, which was a pivotal place. You know, you all have that one coffee shop that, like, when you were in college, that was like your haven, your place of respite and things like that. That was what Canterbury Books was. And A Room of One's Own has been there for a long time, many, many years, but they needed to move. And they are moving, happily, right near another awesome place. In fact, they're moving very close to where our graphic designer lives, which I probably shouldn't get more specific than that. But I will also say it is also near where the person who helps produce Jamdrian lives. So it's a small world. It's always getting smaller. And ooh, speaking of small worlds, anybody know the author Cecilia Tan? You can feel free to Google her real quick if you want. She used to run Circlet Press. And she was a close second to being on that panel that night. Because when you want to talk about queer and kink science fiction, she is probably like the number one person that would come up. In my discussions with her, well, we found out that her schedule wasn't going to permit her to be on that thing. We happened to find out that she and I went to the same elementary school and just missed each other by 1 year. I went to that elementary school in 1976. She left in 1976. So that's just, you know, extra small world. Trivia to know about Gray. Which reminds me, don't forget about the trivia question, which I'll repeat here. I happen to know what it is. We'll talk about the answer tomorrow, so don't put it in the chat. But tomorrow we'll be repeating that trivia question, which is noise complaints. What kind of noise complaints there, Bast Insider? The question was, why was Zay annoyed with Svetlana? What was keeping Svetlana from making it to the battle, according to Zay, in the battle tent videos? Which, by the way, I'm hoping that the battle tent is something that is a recurring Worldbuilders tradition. It is, that was a great thing to put together. And let me tell you, it is very handy to have a director of operations who also can put on armor and a vaguely Scandinavian war accent, and then have a marketing specialist that can turn it into really funny video. Because I try and make really funny videos, and I've made a couple of cool videos. If you see the cosplay videos on the YouTube thing, those were edited by me. But I'll be honest, I learned my video editing stuff in the dance department of the University of Wisconsin, and that was back in the 90s. So there's a very 90s feel to my style of video editing, as opposed to the just dry humor and spot on timing that those two came out with it. So I'm really proud of the video stuff that we have come out with this particular one, and I'm hoping that when Jamie's town cools off a little bit, that she and Skyfae can do their cosplay showcase they were going to do. They were going to be able to show the videos of the what is it, Study in Dracus and Loot, and the Caesariad, and hey, there you are. Yeah, I was really sad that didn't work out to do that. And honestly, it's one of the many lessons we learned, which is that if well, I will say that we could have, if we had thought ahead, we would have had the information on Jamie's computer duplicated on my computer, and then maybe Jamie could have just hosted. But even then, I don't know if her computer would have let it host. Yeah, we can't, honestly, it's like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh man, we messed up. I'm like, on the other hand, we're fighting climate change. That's not a fair or proportional thing. Which is part of why I'm really kind of stunned by how generous everyone has been. It's been a tough year. We've been having, and it's not over yet, you know. It's like, they're like, oh, you think the pandemic's over? I think things are opening up. Well, here's a heat wave instead. And yet, y'all have been helping us out to the tune of $93,000 and $342. Which is amazing. Jeannie, nice to see you there. We're talking about the fundraiser, which I have been babbling, because as anybody will tell you, I can sit here and babble forever and go on and on. If you have any questions about the fundraiser or about Worldbuilders in general, feel free to let us know. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring up something that has been occurring to me recently, which is that we haven't been pushing it as much because we've also almost at $96,000. I will maybe plead age. I don't get that. I'm not sure what that means. But then again, you know, there's a lot of things that go over my head. The thing that we haven't been pushing is, do you remember the Masked Hero project that we came up with in 2020? Now, if you don't remember that, the idea was that first of all, we got cloth masks from a veteran-owned costume manufacturer or seamstress. Fiona's Fineries was the name of the shop, and she had been shut down from all of the Ren fairs that she normally did because everything shut down. Well, she's back at work and busy and everything like that. In the Heights. Have not gotten to see it. That's one of my treats for myself after the fundraiser, is to go and see In the Heights and enjoy the musical. But anyway, so we set it up so that people could donate masks, so that if you needed a mask, you could just send for one. Now, we haven't been pushing it a lot because a lot of people, a lot of places have less masking going on. However, I don't know if you've been reading the Delta stuff. Oh, I heard him. I heard my loot. There it is. Nature's Realm is now following. Thank you, Nature's Realm. And also thank you, Jamie and Julia and other artists for making those cool little animations. Hey Carl, we could have a watch party and we could drink the beer and watch In the Heights like manly men do, you know. Hi Iron Violet, nice to see you there. Anyway, the Masked Hero Project. So the cool part about that is that we are still operating in a surplus of masks and donated things. So if you know somebody who could use a mask, especially if they're at risk for the Delta variant, I'm sorry, Carl, but I probably would belch in front of your wife as well. So sorry. The Delta variant is pretty scary. I personally am kind of scared of it. I have the Janssen & Janssen vaccine, and as you may have heard, that apparently is only 64% effective against the Delta variant. So there's a lot of things that are so risky, and frankly, wearing a mask is not quite as, perhaps, for a lot of people, it's not as optional as it should be. For me, it probably should be. The idea of doing that, having that mask is a good thing. So yeah, it may be that we abandon masks for comfort, but at the same time, if it comes up that you still need masks, we've still got them. We will still send them to you for free, or send them anywhere else that they're needed for free. So please let us know if that's required. And that is one of the things that we were really proud of putting together last year, along with the book drop. And that's, you know, if you weren't around for the Operation Book Drop, what we did was we said, hey, we have all these donated books downstairs. And they literally donated to us. And what we can't just send them out ourselves right now, but with a little bit of help and a little bit of donation, we can send them out to places to help keep people inside from social and help them social distance. We sent out over 1,000 packages. So it was really, really awesome. People loved the books. You know, that was back when the phrase was flatten the curve, before we realized that in the US we weren't going to flatten the curve. Anyway, we kind of fed a little bit of that into our fundraiser here. A while back, yeah, Pacific Northwest is already hot today. We'll tell you a little bit about what Amity Jam said she was going to think about doing today. But first I want to talk about the game bundles that are in our fundraiser. So we tried selling game bundles before, and they didn't do too well. They were like, people were like, you know, game bundles, I don't need more games, I've got enough games. And people would have, you know, they're like Aaron from over at Illidan, you know, Turbo Hoodie here on Twitch, you know, where he's got an entire shelf of games. He's not going to want to have the games. But what we do have is we have a whole bunch of games, and we can send them places that they are welcome. And you may be like, well, I can just donate my games to a community center or something like that. You actually can't, unless you have not opened those games. If you give a game to a community center and it has already been opened, they can't use it because it may be you know, contaminated with any number of things. That's why the games that we can donate are safe for them, because they're pristine condition. These are brand new games. They've never been opened. And when we give them to a community center, a library, or something like that, they can put them out with confidence that these are games that are safe for their patrons. And so we put up the opportunity for you to help out, be literally a Geeks Doing Good, especially if you love board games. You can share that love with places that would need it. Now, for an example of a place that it would probably come in handy would be, say, if a heat wave hit a place and they suddenly had to have a lot of spaces where people were sitting around in cooler spaces because their homes weren't able to have it. It'd be really handy to be able to, with confidence, as somebody running one of those centers, hand out games to people and say, yes, you can totally use this because it's sealed, it's open. Hell, they could give the games to people. Now, I think that is an ongoing thing that we're going to use those games for, because the games are donated to us. The games were donated to us by various game companies, And they said, make good use of these. And so that's a way we can channel and be that whole geeks doing good idea. Amity Jam got a little distracted, so we won't talk about that for anybody else out there in the Pacific Northwest right now. I mean, here's the thing. Some people are like in LA and California, like, oh, well, it's only 103. What's the big deal? I have a friend who is actually in the process of moving from Baltimore to Seattle. And honestly, he's going to end up feeling right at home if the weather stays the way it is, because that's about how hot it gets in Baltimore and stuff. I know from back when I was visiting him. But, yeah, look at this little red light. But the thing is that having it that hot for a sustained amount of time, which is what's going on right now, is the issue. And I was actually watching, in case you're wondering what kind of geek I am, I was watching the American Calligraphy Society talking about letter locking. And they were particularly talking about the letters that they had from the 16th century. Because during that time, they had kind of a mini ice age. And the temperature changed just 6 degrees. And people were getting extra sick. And animals were dying and things like that, because it was a little bit too much. Yeah, that's some pretty strong geeking, I gotta say. Yeah, when that is my that is my downtime. Is watching American calligraphers folding paper up into locked letters. Although I was also watching and going, we have a wax seal with the Worldbuilders seal. I wonder if we could make like some kind of a tier where we write people things with stamps. Would Worldbuilders emotes be something we would be interested in? I would think yes, but I honestly, I'm just the pretty face in front of the camera. I don't run any of the behind-the-scene Twitch stuff, because honestly, when you say Worldbuilders emotes, I'm like, I think I know what that is. Is that like when I make a little smiley face down here? If I click on one of these things and I do something like that, is that, yeah, there's an emote. Yeah, I love your fiery Elmo things. Cool. Yes, I would love some Worldbuilders emotes. I think we need a Zay in the battle tent emote. That's what I think we need. I think that's really the key, is that we need to have a Zay in the battle tent emote. I'm sure, does Pat on his channel have all kinds of emotes? If not, we need to have like a Tinker's Packs emote for on our thing. What other emotes would be good for us? A goat, obviously. Goats, ducks, Dracus, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Definitely a Dracus emote. The other side of the geekiness here is I have my Star Trek uniform hanging in my office. I mean, I'm not at home. I am actually here. But yeah, at the office, and I have my thing in there. Yeah, we could have a lute emote. This is not actually a lute. This is a Baroque ukulele, but it is pretty. Yes, the Vivamoose. Definitely would need to have a Vivamoose would be a good emote too. I guess the answer is yes, we definitely do. Yeah, and the subs are a relatively new thing with us, although this has been great. One of the cool things, our Twitch streaming during this fundraiser has been really, really working really well. We've doubled our viewership, and yeah, because of quality broadcasting just like this. I had somebody say, well, nobody's going to want to watch it if you are just sitting there, somebody's just sitting there talking and saying a lot. I'm like, have you seen Pat's stream? I mean, people will just sit and watch the talk if they're talking entertainingly, like Pat does. Yes, the highest quality. And now it is time for the word of the day. And the word of the day for Monday, June 28th, is a wonderful word, obscurantist. Obscurantist, Obscurantist, which is one who opposes the progress of intellectual enlightenment, according to Sir James Murray's New English Dictionary of 1909, or, to quote Augustus Hare's Guesses at Truth from 1874, the true obscurantists are the delusions of our nature warped by evil habits. I'm sure none of us actually have evil habits. None at all. Well, I don't know. Maybe actually most of us do, except for Jeannie. Jeannie has no evil habits at all. But yes, today, speaking of fun things for today, among many people's birthdays, it is also the birthday of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who was born and raised in Geneva and was one of the cornerstones, as you all know, of Europe's Enlightenment, and helped fan the flames of both the American and the French revolutions, which we can say whether that was a contribution or not, but perhaps it has been obscurantized. His writings proclaimed that governments routinely usurp the rights of ordinary citizens who should counter this tendency with social contracts. And he even questioned the church's concept of original sin. I don't know. I think original sin makes total sense. I have come up with some very original sins in my time. When people are looking through and they're like, we didn't even have a word for this. And now, became corrupt, but people were born good, but became corrupted by societal influences if they were lucky. Oh, sorry, I made that up. But particularly poverty was corrupting. I'm not sure if I like that idea, because if poverty corrupts, that means that people who are poor are corrupt, and that might be difficult. But anyway, regardless, people at the time, go figure, the ruling parties in France didn't like that, and he was exiled. From the time he was a teen, Rousseau's spirit longed for freedom and expression. At 16, he ran away from Geneva to Annecy, France, and he was... At 16, he ran away to Annecy, France, where he was supported by, quote, this is from the calendar, a broad-minded 29-year-old baroness who encouraged his love of nature, among other things. I am picturing, I have not played the game, so I can't tell you, but there's that one particular character, I think it's from Resident Evil, where she has like the big hat and looks very severe and is very, how do I put this, robust. She's a very robust person. Yes, exactly. Iron Violet's going the same direction I am. I'll bet she encouraged his love of nature. This side of him, in turn, influenced the flame of the Romantic movement, which found expression in the music of Beethoven, the poetry of Lord Byron, and the paintings of J.M.W. Turner, to name a few. Statuesque, that's a good way, but thank you, Jules. That's exactly what it was. That lady. Yeah, the 10-foot lady in the white dress. Right. But yes, so happy birthday, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. I was also, when we were talking about letter locking, one of the people who does letter locks is John Donne, the No Man is an Island. And I actually felt very much better because lots of us have heard of John Donne. We've heard No Man is an Island. We've heard all those other things. And it turns out this guy, by the standards of his day, he was always battling poverty. He was struggling to support his kids, things like that. Yeah. A 10-foot lady in a white dress, a Valkyrie? No. But Stonewall Day. Yes. Yes, it is Stonewall Day. Thank you for reminding us, Jeannie. That is a very important day. And let us not forget that Stonewall was started by an African-American transvestite. That is what the thing started. And they sometimes try and write them out of the histories and things like that. But yeah, I knew some people that were trying to sort of whitewash Stonewall, and claim that it did not have a trans influence on it as much, and that there were other things going on. Nope, it was very much it was a police raid on a gay bar per se, but really back then they weren't gay bars as much as it was a place where people went who enjoyed in their identity as being women. And the police were not happy about that, and it caused a big deal, and it started a movement. So happy Stonewall Day, everyone. And I love, boy, I used to be able to name all the flags, and then they just kept making more, and I stopped being able to identify them all. Yeah, but there are a lot of them, and they all deserve to be there. So, how are people celebrating? Yeah, I can tell you did, because some of the ones I have aren't in there either. Although I will say I am celebrating it by the fact that I am actually flagging today. So, that works for those who know what that is. And I know a lot of you are looking at that and going, wait, what is that? Where does that fall into the category of things? I'm not going to tell you. So let's see where we're at with the Indiegogo. You know what I could also do? I could do a self-lightning round. That would be interesting. Well, to me anyway. And yes, we've gotten, we're almost at 94,000. This is great. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, flag before you knew what it was. Yep. So we are at about 10 minutes till. I think it's a little too soon to do a lightning round with myself. So we will say, again, we hope to have B. Dave Walters back again at some point when he comes around. And he has always been a big supporter of Worldbuilders. He's done multiple fundraisers. One of the things I was going to talk to him about was about the D&D games and things that he's done. He also contributed, he actually and several others from the Black Dice Society contributed to these tokens. Now the inspiration tokens are from Dragon at Heart. You can show their logo there. They also made the dice boxes for us. And for example, this is the Worldbuilders one. Now, does anybody remember what the Worldbuilders token says on it? Can anybody guess what the Worldbuilders one has on the back of it? If you pull out a Worldbuilders token in the middle of your D&D game, what do you have the power to do? Hype, hype, hype. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yep, Yonikes definitely has it. It is, you roll 1d8 and that many goats, ducks, chickens, or gallons of water appear. Yeah, I mean, you could have, maybe next year we'll have an extra token made and we'll call it the Viva Moose. And it appears and will heal, 1d10 of damage to people in your party or something like that. Yeah, that would actually work too, because the Viva Moose is based on the Latin term vivamus, which means let us live. So that actually would really be a good one. Yeah, so we have 1d8. I am just picturing all of the wonderful things you could do with that, which is like, I am facing this humongous, monstrous thing. I'm going to pull out the Worldbuilders token, and I'm going to have 8 geese appear, and I'm going to herd them towards the dragon just to see what happens. And I mean, hey, it'll be confused, it'll make a feather bed, or it'll eat them all and then be happily satisfied in a food coma. Yeah, also geese are ferocious. Yeah, I was actually kind of scared for an actor that I saw recently, because it was on the TV show Miranda, which by the way is a delightful French comedy and farce. Delightful, also a couple of problematic things. The funniest thing about Miranda, the reason I watched it, is because Tom Ellis, who plays Lucifer, yeah, little Skyfae, you know the whole quote. Does that mean you're a Heinlein fan too, or did you know it from somewhere else? The Tom Ellis who plays Lucifer is in this sitcom Miranda, is before Lucifer. And it's very interesting seeing him in a different role because he's a very different person than the Lucifer character. Anyway, but in it there was a person who is a little bit confused, and he's looking up at a goose, like literally like that far away from the goose's face, and says, "I am the prettiest goose." And I'm looking at it and I'm like, if that goose is alive, I would not want to be hissing back, because yeah, that is not good. Thanks, Beth, for pointing that out. We are actually doing a fundraiser. All right, so we are getting close to the end of our time that we have for 11s. And I have proved that I can sit here and monologue for a full hour. But let's do a lightning round. Now you all, I see a lot of familiar faces here. So you all know the questions for the lightning round. And maybe you have a specific one. Remember, the lightning round is meant to be something that doesn't have to do with the subject. So asking me questions about the fundraiser, not so good. Asking me questions even about Worldbuilders, necessarily not there. Hey, Crimshot, that's okay. You can watch the video on demand. It'll be riveting. Couldn't imagine a better use of your time. Ooh, bit on the nose by a swan. Ooh, that sounds scary. Bye, Jeannie. So, let's see how you do in chat. So if you ask me the lightning round questions, go for it. The first few are easy. If you get the end. My favorite tarot card, the Hanged Man. Yep, definitely. I was going to say, bye, Micronex. Oh, you're saying goodbye to Jeannie. Favorite tarot card. That is an unusual lightning round one, but yeah, my favorite is the Hanged Man. Has nothing to do with whatever the Hanged Man actually represents, by the way. I don't know what that is, in fact. Favorite mythological creature. Ooh, that's a good one. So probably Medusa. Yeah, Medusa. Not sure why. I just remember that was the one character that stands out the most. Apparently, you do get to make up the questions. I was thinking we'd do the regular ones, but we're doing the special one. Favorite drink. It's kind of a tragedy. And a fun little story behind it, too. So I am not a heavy drinker, never have been, and never really, the closest I came to drinking was craft beer kind of things. And then back in the day when I was a media, multimedia producer, I had a client who, the project I did for her had to do tangentially with the Macallan Whiskey Company. And I finished the project, and as a bonus for it, she bought me a shot of 25-year Macallan, which was a $50 shot. And it was the first whiskey I had ever had, 25-year Macallan. And I had it, and I was like, oh my God, this has opened up an entirely new world to me. This is amazing. This is wonderful. I need to explore whiskeys. And Scotch. And as Beth is probably sitting there smiling and nodding, is that when you start at 25-year Macallan, there's very few directions you can go but down from there. So that would be it. Favorite vacation, Joko Cruise. I went on the Joko Cruise, the last one they had, the one before 2020. Before I worked for Worldbuilders, actually. Worldbuilders was just something I knew about. I was not involved in it directly, and it was the first cruise I'd ever gone on, and I didn't really think I'd like cruises. And I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like cruises except the Joko Cruise I really liked. And I'm happy to say, if any of you are going in the next one, I'll be there too. I've already paid off most of the tickets. So yeah, Joko Cruise is going to be there. Most unique or beloved stationery item currently within reach. Wow. It might be better just to show you all the stationery items I currently have within reach. Because if I reach, I'm not moving my legs, if I reach this way, I have my Mike Rohde sketch note Ideas Not Art sketch notebook, which I do sketches in, and it includes heavy linen paper for writing letters, and then envelopes, of course, for sending the letters. But then we have the various implements that I use, which includes a brush pen, a Pilot parallel pen for calligraphy, a Kokoiro brush pen, a Staedtler mechanical pencil, and a little, because some letter locking you have to cut things with, so a little X-Acto knife kind of thing. So that would be one. I've also got a whole bunch of brush pens and a cute little ruler as well. And this is within, this would be the favorite item actually, stationary item. So this is a friend of mine who competed in International Ms. Leather, and the thing on it says Tom of Femland is the title here. And so I supported her run for IMSL with this particular, buying that particular pencil case. And that would probably be my favorite item that's within reach. Although there's also my fun little case here, which has things in it like a detachable lid, because I'm a geek. And inside of it we have cards for Zentangle, because sometimes when I write letters I will do a Zentangle and send that along. So cards for Zentangle, and stamps for, including international stamps for my Canadian girlfriend and things like that. So there, see? Yeah, best beginner's calligraphy book, not a book. The best thing to do is go on to YouTube or Skillshare. It's all there. It is like, there's such a rich thing. I have so many classes that I want to be able to look at. So if I was to finally duel my mortal enemy, what weapon would I choose? I would choose friendship. That's what I would do. Armor of choice. Oh, Kevlar. Having worn it, that's interesting. Favorite organizational tool, that's a gimme. So I would say favorite organizational tool, one of two things. It'd be either a favorite organizational tool would be Notion in terms of computers, because Notion is amazing. We run on Notion here at Worldbuilders. We could not do things. And if not, it would just be a notebook, any notebook, whatever the closest notebook is. And sketchnoting would be the methodology of that. World Encyclopedia of Calligraphy. I will say Heather Martinez does a thing. Heather Martinez is a really excellent teacher of many different forms of writing. And more to the point, she had a series called Lettering with the Masters. And I learned more about different styles of writing and calligraphy and things like that from that than anywhere else. You and I duel very differently, Gray. Really, what would your favorite weapon be, Crimshot? I'd like to know what yours it would be. And what's a great sandwich? I can tell you what a great sandwich is because I'm going to go have one here in a moment. It is right down the street. There's a place called Guu's, G-U-U''S, and they make a fantastic Cubano. And so that is my current favorite sandwich. I will also say I used to be a long time ago. I was a short order cook at a banjo. Dueling, I get it. Dueling banjos. If I had thought I could do it well, I would pull it out and play the run. But I need to practice it first. I was saying something about the Cubano, I think. I don't know what I was saying, but yeah. All right, I think that's a pretty good one. The only other thing, so was your dad. Your dad was about sandwiches? Don't know what that, don't quite get that reference, but I'm pretty sure it was funny. So I will take another sip out of my Lady Astronaut mug. That you can get. Oh yeah, it was a short order to cook, and I actually had a sandwich called the Miller Melt that I would make, and it was sourdough bread with Monterey Jack cheese, turkey, grilled mushrooms, and tomato, and that was fun. But yeah, Steve Martin, sort of a amalgamation of Steve Martin and Jim, I want to say Buscemi, and that's not the right word. Jim Belushi together. Yeah, the Miller Melt. Well, maybe we'll have Miller Melt sometime live. Let's do a quick check on igg.me/@/GDG21. And yes, we are, did I not do that there? There we go. We are at, I moved the thing and didn't actually do the transition of OBS. Yes, we are getting really close to 100K. So I'm going to go have lunch. There is more entertaining stuff coming, I believe. We are going to be probably, or hopefully you're signed up to Pat's stream. We'll be having some kind of a sort of last day after party kind of situation. But in the meantime, tune in tomorrow for World Builders Weekly right here. And thank you all for coming. I'll say the last one will be, let's see, let's just go old fashioned. Vivamus! And he waits, and he waits, and he waits. Yay! Bye, everybody.